If you've ever been dropped or if you've ever been made to do push-ups in the military, and then the person who made you do the push-ups left you in the front leaning rest without recovering you, and you just kind of stayed in the front leaning rest until you died, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, like and comment. The comment section is literally Blade Runner in the future. Get in there and find out why everybody visits that place. If you are looking to support the channel, we have Gun Mag Warehouse. Gun Mag Warehouse supports us monetarily. We buy mags and we say thank you. So get in there. If you guys are looking for ammunition, we have LEX ammunition and Vertex for plaid and gun things and gun bags and all that good stuff. So get in there, discount code GRANTHAM, 25% off. Gentlemen, ladies, everybody who is joining today, we are going to be talking about the Daniel Defense M4V7. So, like many other things, I want to first discuss, what my relationship with Daniel Defense is. So I kind of got my start doing reviews by doing that Mark 18 review, if you remember that, all the way back in the day. And I look back on those videos and I cringe. But, I've kind of always had an okay rapport with Daniel Defense, and they reached out to me and they asked me if I wanted to review anything. So I hadn't reviewed anything with some of their newer rails and the M-LOK type setups, and so I was like, hey, let's kind of do a newer, Mark 18 type deal with a 10.3-inch barrel and your newer rail. So they sent over the M4V7 in their Mil-Spec Plus coating, so Gucci. And they provided it, and then ammunition was also provided, and we did this review. So to date, we have about 5,000 rounds on the rifle, on this pistol. But this rifle, it was going to survive it. I wasn't really worried about the Daniel Defense. So they're kind of an established name. And, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the functionality and how it works and how it stacks up to a lot of the, more modern builders that have come to the market, and kind of, are you getting your money's worth still? So let's kind of get into it. So with this particular pistol right here, and this is a pistol, this is a SBA3 stabilizing pistol brace. SBR laws make so much sense, and NFA makes so much sense. Anyhow, let's start with the barrel. So the barrel is 10.3 inches, which I'm going to be honest and say that I am not a fan of the 10.3-inch barrel anymore. And the reason for that is that you're getting to the very bleeding edge of reliability with the AR system. And also you're losing a ton of dwell time and a ton of reliability with a 10.3 barrel. Nonetheless, the 10.3 barrel persists, in my opinion, because of the Mark 18 program. But this particular barrel is 10.3. I would prefer 11.5 personally. And the barrel is phenomenal. That being said, they are using a cold hammer forged barrel, which in my opinion is probably one of the best barrel making processes that you have out there. So Daniel Defense has always had phenomenal barrels, and that is no exception when it comes to the DD-M4V7 in this pistol configuration. I'm easily pushing, MOA to maybe sub-MOA groups if I'm using the right ammunition. Again, I'm not a phenomenal shooter, but I'm sure guys with, much more shooting experience than me can probably push this rifle even more accurately than I can. So I've been wholly impressed when it comes to the barrel. Moving on to the muzzle device. The muzzle device is DD's. It does a very good job at removing flash, and that's particularly hard when it comes to a 10.3 barrel. But it does excellent as far as like muzzle rise and all that control. I'm a big proponent of muzzle devices that send that rifle directly back into your shoulder, because a 5.56 is fairly easy to control, and a lot of compensators and brakes tend to push the rifle in a direction that is not suitable for the AR-15, such as down too much. I have so many compensators overcompensate and push the rifle down where you're trying to pull it up, and that's kind of a pain. So I've been fine with the DD muzzle device. I prefer, a Surefire muzzle device or the Q muzzle device, the Cherry Bomb. Those are excellent, but this has been wholly adequate, and I have no complaints when it comes to this muzzle device. Moving back from there, we do have the gas block. So the gas block is pinned. Is pinning a big deal? BCM does not pin their gas block, so kind of two big competitors right there. I think it's not a bad idea. It makes for a bomb-proof installation. So I am happy that Daniel Defense does pin their gas blocks, and it does make sure that thing's just going to stay still and not walk out or move or do anything. So That's just attention to detail right there, and there's another reason why DD is among the best AR manufacturers out there. One quick note about the barrel, though. Now, when it comes to DD barrels, what I want to say is that Daniel Defense has historically over-gassed their weapons. And what I mean by that is you have a gas port drilled into the barrel, and that taps off the gas to make the action cycle. Now, with DD, they've chosen to oversize it because, the market to which it's going, people are running a wide variety of ammunition. Much of that ammunition is underpowered. So if you go with a properly sized gas port, sometimes you get malfunctions because there's not enough pressure to cycle that weapon because the gas port is so small. DD has remedied this by making a larger gas port. The problem comes into play if you're using full powered ammunition. So I almost exclusively run military powered ammunition. Because of that, the DDs are very much so over gas, and I get a lot more felt recoil and a lot more gas to my face if the weapon is suppressed. Because of that, I'm not a huge fan of their overgassing of their rifles. However, I do understand why. So whether or not it's good for you is going to depend on the type of ammunition that you run. That being said, is it okay with mil-spec ammo? Yeah, absolutely. It's going to run very well. It's just, I wish they would have kind of undergassed it a little bit, and I'm talking specifically about their shorter barrels. Okay, the finish on this particular rifle is their Mil-Spec Plus. It is a brown Cerakote. Cerakote's very durable, no problems there. I kind of think it's kind of an attractive color. I like it, but like everything, it doesn't match the EPMs. Just browns can never match. 50 Shades of FDE, just always, nothing ever matches. Okay, upper receiver. Upper receivers from Daniel Defense are extremely well made. They have the markings on the side in the caliber and specifying what model they are, in this case the M4V7P. So I've been very impressed with the bolt carrier groups from Daniel Defense. I've seen them to have a very long life. They're M16 profile, they are chrome lined, they're properly staked at the gas keys. They do all the right stuff when it comes to their bolt carrier groups. So rest assured, if you're running a BCG from Daniel Defense, they're going to run well. Now, in the case of this system as it currently stands right now, I'm experimenting with a couple things, and in this case I have a JP Enterprises VMOS in there, along with the silent captured spring system from JP Enterprises. This is a action system that essentially reduces felt recoil and speed of the bolt carrier system and all that for overgassed barrels. So I've been using it to experiment with some different designs with JP Enterprises on service type rifles. So because of that, the recoil right now on this firearm is very, very much so minimalistic. But even without this system, the V7 is very acceptable for its accuracy for a short-barreled rifle. Daniel Defense is running a standard mil-spec charging handle. Given the price point of around $1,800, typically around $1,500, street price, or maybe even $1,400, a little frustrated in which they would use kind of a more modern design, something like a Geisley or a Radian Raptor, something along those lines, which in my mind are very much so superior to these older charging handles, but nonetheless, they persist on using these and they're okay. Moving down to the lower receivers are very well made. I have no complaints on the low receiver. Talking a little bit about it. So when it comes to the safety is a 90-degree throw. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I prefer a 45-degree throw. That being said, it's easily changeable. The safety is ambidextrous. On the right-hand side, the safety is shortened. That way, when you're flipping over to fire, it doesn't brush in your hand and stop the safety from flipping all the way over, which is a problem with a lot of builds that I've encountered. And that's always kind of lazy to me. So I'm glad that they've done the correct thing and made it a little bit shorter on the right-hand side. Bolt release is standard, just a standard M4 type bolt release. Nothing Gucci there. Magazine release is fine. It is not ambi. It is just a standard M4, M16 type configuration. Magazine well is flared, and of course Daniel Defense has their own pistol grip, which I do like, although I find quite ugly. It feels good though, I'll be honest here. Okay, trigger. So the trigger on the Daniel Defense, very much so, is a good mil-spec trigger. So we're going to compare the Daniel Defense trigger to a standard Colt mil-spec trigger. We'll kind of see how they stand. So you guys are going to go ahead and take your finger, you're going to put there, I'm going to put my finger over yours, and we're going to feel this trigger together. So put on a little Unchained melody here. Okay, weapons in semi. Okay, pulling back the trigger. Okay, no take up. crisp let off. Feels very good for a mil-spec trigger, around 6.57 pounds or so. Reset is how far I have to let the trigger fall forward before I can then pull the trigger again and make it work. Let's try that one more time. Okay, very good reset. About 4 pounds pressure off, springs forward, pulling that again, no take up. Crisp let off, feels good. Precisely what I would want from a mil-spec trigger. Let's compare that to the Colt trigger. So this is a factory Colt lower on a BCM upper. This one doesn't have a whole lot of rounds on it. That way I can kind of keep it a little bit less broken in, kind of compare it to some of the less broken in firearms like I've been working right here. Okay, pulling that. No let off there. Let's try the reset. Feels exactly the same like the Daniel Defense. Let's try the trigger pull one more time. Okay. It's a very crisp let off, no take up. Compare that to the Daniel Defense. The Colt is a little bit lighter and a little bit crisper, but that's me really dissecting it. I think that they're both really good mil-spec triggers, and you will not be disappointed in your Daniel Defense trigger. So good on them there. So when it comes to the pistol build, it came with a pistol tube that was extended, and it came with one of the older SB braces, which to me is pretty, I'm gonna be honest, stupid. Given the price point, they should be running the SB A3, which is kind of the current market standard. The older pistol brace that it came with was just ridiculous. It's very flimsy, it's not well made at all. So I don't understand why they haven't switched over to the SB A3, which is what I have on it currently. When I cracked the castle nut off, it came off very easily. It wasn't tightened very hard, which is surprising, but it's easy to switch everything out for the tube I wanted and for the brace that I wanted. So if you want to do that, they don't seem to have tightened them down too hard where it's easy to change that in your own house. But yeah, the fact that they have such a cheap brace on there and not this is very surprising given the price point. All right, they are running an H buffer in it, which feels fine. I would prefer an H2, to be honest, on such a short weapon that's so overgassed, but that does depend on the ammo that you're shooting. Now in my case, of course, I've replaced this with the JP Enterprises Silent Captured Spring System, which makes recoil just a breeze. So what does it feel like to shoot? Well, it feels very much so like a Mark 18. Really no difference there. So if you haven't shot a very short-barreled AR, like a 10-3 or something like that, they have a harsher recoil impulse than the 14.5. It feels sharper, a little harsher, it's a little harder to stay on target, and that's no different than this particular weapon right here. But they run very well. Again, this is kind of a a con when it comes to a very short weapon system like you have right here. Now, with the JP Enterprises internals in there, this weapon is very smooth and stays on target and is much easier to shoot. So, when we're talking about base rifle, yeah, a little bit to be desired, but that's to be expected with such a short rifle. With JP Enterprise internals, JP fixes everything. It's wonderful. As far as reliability goes, I ran this in both configurations. I went ahead and I threw this into a muddy creek to see how it would do. I actually did that with the JP internals, which are a little bit more fragile than standard DD internals, just to see how it would do. Cool. As you can see, it passed no problem. With a standard bolt carrier group and H2 buffer, it ran even better, and it was totally fine. I also ran this gun on full auto with a standard BCG with an auto lower on it, and again, it just chewed through that no problem. This gun is wholly reliable, and I trust this gun quite a bit to chew through any type of adverse conditions, and that's due to how well it's made and the tolerances that they use. So rest assured, if you want to get a DDV7 for duty use, Absolutely, positively approved. They are very well made and you will not be disappointed. Now that being said, Daniel Defense makes good solid rifles and make good solid pistols. The price point, in my opinion, is a little bit high given some of the more kind of old features that they're using, some of the furniture that they're using. That being said, you're getting a very well-built rifle that are made for combat, that are made for duty, with excellent cold hammer forged barrels. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I would just recommend looking at other builds like BCM, Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and a couple others to make sure that the Daniel Defense is precisely what you want. Now, if the Daniel Defense is what you want, rest assured it's going to be wonderful for you. But here's the thing. With this rifle, what really matters is going to be training. So make sure that you get training, because if you don't train with this rifle, you're still going to suck with it, even with the JP internals in there. So get training. We have Cogworks, Bear Solutions, Travis Haley, who's definitely not my dad, who grew me in a lab under his basement. We have Tony Cowden, great dude. Esoteric, Darcy, all these great guys. Get in there and get that knowledge for them and get better with this stuff. Now, before we end, I know you guys are going to ask, what is my setup on this particular pistol right here? So to start off with, I have a QD mount up front right here. Very well made along with the rail. The rail is excellently made. The lockup on the rail is phenomenal. DD rails are nearly bomb-proof in their construction, and I love the DD rails. So I have my QD mount up here. I'm running a Haley Strategic Sling. I have a BE Myers MAL, which is an IR laser and illuminator device. I have an Arisaka 600 series light, all going to a Surefire dual pressure pad right back here so I can control them on either side. I have a hand stop from Weapon Outfitters, moving back from there. I have the new green Trijicon MRO, and then of course I have an SB-A3 stock using EPM mags and or enhanced performance magazines, and of course JP internals. So gentlemen, I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching. We got a lot more great stuff coming, and as always guys, stay looking cool, and I've got nothing else for you. Okay, last thing for you guys is organization. Organize your life, and it's going to make your life just 1,000 times easier. A nice clean home really matters, to be honest. So get out there and organize things. If you've gotten this far, you know we're going to talk about Big Daddy Unlimited. So Big Daddy Unlimited is like Costco, but for guns. So you got to subscribe and all that kind of stuff and buy into it. But then you have really cheap things in bulk. So get in there, see if it's for you. If not, no big deal. Links right below. Finally, gentlemen, if you've gotten this far, I want you to comment with your favorite, your favorite game from circa 1997 to 2002. That little narrow window right there. If you're born after that, we'll do 2002 to 2006. If you're born after that, why are you on the internet? I'm just kidding. Go do your thing, gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Take care.